From Radio DePaul, Chicago's college connection.
My father spent 3 years restoring this car. It is his love. It is his passion.
I'm Michael Cera, and human skin is my passion.
I learned to feel things I'd never felt before. Love, jealousy, passion for disemboweling.
Look at all the passion on that wall.
Well, jazz flute has always been a small passion of mine.
It's a bathroom.
It's not just a bathroom, David. It's a passion project.
My passion project. Destroying someone else's passion project.
This is Passion Project with your host, Peyton Basden.
Truer words, my friend. Hey guys, welcome back to Passion Project. As you know, it's a new week, and that means there's a new episode. And my favorite thing about new episodes is that means we have a new guest. So glad you're here joining us. And it's certainly going to be a banger of an episode. So, what's it all about? Who's here with me? Who are you?
Oh, we're really starting off with hardened questions. Hello, my name is Will Lemaster. I don't have a script for this, so I'm just going to start naming things. I am 20 years old. Mm-hmm. Favorite color is green.
Good choice.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm just incredibly happy to be here.
That's amazing, and that's like the energy we really love to have in this studio.
Incredibly passionate to be here.
In one word, that's it. That's what we do here is passion. And I want the audience to have a better understanding of you as an individual.
Yeah.
And that's why we're piloting this new series that I like to call the Passion Probe, working title. We're still working on it. And it is a series of questions to help the audience better understand you as a person. So we can really connect and really understand where that passion comes from. So, Will, first question. Cats or dogs?
Oh, you didn't brief me on this one. That's going to take a second.
Oh, think out loud. What's your initial reaction?
My initial reaction is cats.
Mm-hmm.
And in truth, I'm a liar because it's always cats. It always will be cats.
Ooh.
I am a cat person through and through.
Do you own a dog?
I have never owned a dog in my life.
Interesting.
The closest I have gotten, a dog wandered into our backyard, and my sister was like, "Can we keep it?" And then we had to drive him to the pound. And he sat with me in the back seat while I'm playing my 3DS, and I'm like, "Stop licking me. I'm trying to solve this puzzle in Phantom Hourglass."
That's awesome. So, pretty definitively.
After that, I was like, "Man, dogs ain't it. I'll stick to the cats."
Okay, cats. Solid answer. This next one's also pretty. It's a thinker. Would you rather have 4 arms or 4 legs?
I am going to go with 4 arms because I feel like 4 legs, there's no way in my brain that makes sense.
That's an
Really.
advantage. See, everybody has said 4 arms to this until this point, and I'm a 4 legs lobbyist.
Really?
Because
Please enlighten me.
Think about the freedom of motion. You could go I'm sure you could go every direction now, but wouldn't you love to leave a conversation and walk backwards while still looking at someone, but be able to go full speed?
Maybe. I don't think that's how that would work, though.
Particular skill.
Because I feel like it'd be D-pad rules of, you can only really move forward or side to side or diagonally. So maybe it's you're a queen in chess and nothing else.
I've never really interpreted this question as 4 legs in terms of horse or dog.
Yeah.
Where you could have 4 legs like that. If that's a valid answer. If you
I suppose that does make sense.
Or you could also have 4
centaur.
hands like Primeape, but
yeah, it would also make sense. I was not thinking centaur. I was thinking more spider person of where are the hips going?
This in my head, it always looks like Squidward from SpongeBob the Musical.
That's
like
fair.
that costume with the
fair.
legs and extra feet.
That's fair. If you reworked the skeletal structure, I think you could make a compelling argument. But I am going to go with 4 arms.
Okay,
personally.
okay. I will. I'll try and sell you on that. I'll write up a paper on why 4 legs will change your life.
Yeah.
Okay, this next one. Favorite number?
I, oddly enough, was just having this discussion last night with my roommates. Because there's a lot you can tell about a person based off
their
favorite number.
Yeah.
Something I was enlightened to is if your favorite number is 4, there's a high chance you have OCD. Because to many people with OCD, the perfect number is 4.
It's a great number.
It's all, when
2 times 2.
As soon as they start
4
telling you all
sides.
the things that it's divisible by, you got them.
Right.
Me personally, I'm going to go with 7.
Ooh,
I'm a 7
another
guy.
classic
'cause
choice.
I was born, fun fact, on 7/7, July 7th, 2004.
Wait, Will, what if I was told you I was born on 4/4,
Ooh.
also in 2004?
Would that make your favorite number what I think it is?
Perhaps. I mean, it's just so divisible. It's divisible by 4 and divisible by 1 and divisible by 2. Like, come on, it's not a prime number.
That is true.
It's not 97.
I was told 7 is a bad favorite number.
I think 7's an amazing favorite
I like
number.
it. I think it's a very popular favorite number.
It is. It's got a lot of history. It's a biblical number. It's in the Bible a lot. It's a holy number. But like, think about it. Group of 7, that's 3, 3, and 1.
That's what I've been saying. They told me, my roommates, it's the worst times table to memorize.
Oh, 7.
Like
I don't like 8s.
8s are tricky.
8s are meaner to me. I can do 7.
I can do 7. I never had a problem with 7. 7, 14, 21, 28.
Mm-hmm.
I could go on.
You could.
I'm going to go on. 30, 35,
Well, 35, 42,
42, 49.
49.
That's 7 times 7.
56.
56. Gold classic. 63.
Yes.
And then
70. I remember. Awesome.
Boom. I could do that in a minute.
You could. 777 also. Lucky numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Symbolizes luck. So,
Exactly.
good choice.
Thank
An
you.
excellent choice.
Thank you.
You are also the first person to not say 11 as their favorite number.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Okay.
The Passion Probe reveals a lot about the
We're
guests
sending
on the
the
show.
statistics today.
Yeah.
I just made a new part of the pie chart. And
You
that's
did.
Really humbling.
You did. You're a trailblazer here.
Yes. That's what I really strive for.
All right. Favorite breakfast food? There are some tough ones on here,
There are some tough ones.
but I want that honest, in the moment reaction. That's what we do here. This is real journalism.
I am going to go with, two things come to mind.
All right.
I was asked the very same question by magicians once.
Oh.
And they were trying to get in my head of they were doing the trick of name a number. Okay, think of the first letter of that number. Okay, think of a food that starts with the first letter of that number. And they tried. I was on the letter T, and they tried to catch me on toast, but my brain could only think of Tim Tams, the Australian breakfast cookie, because I just got back from
Awesome.
Australia and it was on the mind. That's a good one, but I am gonna go with an egg sandwich.
Eggs. So for you, it was between Tim Tams or egg sandwich.
Yeah.
Can you describe Tim Tams? Like, you've
Tim
experienced
Tams-
them.
Oh yes, Tim Tams. Tim Tams are a wafer-like cookie dipped in chocolate. They come in a couple of flavors. They have a couple of fillings. You can have dark chocolate filling. Caramel was always my
Oh.
favorite.
For breakfast?
For throughout the day as a snack, as kind of like a British biscuit for tea time,
I
as
see.
dessert.
Uh-huh.
There was a trick that they taught us in Australia of if you had hot chocolate or any other beverage and a Tim Tam, you could bite off the ends and use it like a straw.
Wait.
Because the filling would just pop right out, and then there'd just be a hole through the cookie. Very similar to, if you're familiar with the Fruit Loops straws.
Yes.
A kind of similar concept to that.
Mm-hmm. From a long forgotten era. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Egg sandwich is a great choice.
I would say so.
Ever bacon? Or just
Oddly
egg?
enough, I rarely have bacon on hand.
Oh, you
I
don't carry
usually
bacon
just have
with
the
you?
eggs, and I season the hell out of that. I take my Gordon Ramsay inspiration. I look up
Awesome.
his video every now and then when I forget how he makes his eggs. Plop that on a everything bagel.
Heck yeah.
I'm ready for the day.
Yeah. Okay. Would you rather,
Hit me.
at will, be able to turn into a bird or a fish?
Bird. Easy on the bird.
Ooh, okay.
I have been grown up in a landlocked state for most of my life. So, love the water. Great guy. I have always have a better connection with the air. Because also, when I was younger, I always wanted to fly. Whenever asked the question, if it's in your list, let me know, what superpower would you want? I would always, my mind would immediately go to flight. Because I just loved the freedom of it. They were my favorite dreams to have. Whenever you have those
You're just
dreams or you're just
flying.
flying around or jumping around, I'm like, this is it.
Wow.
This is
That's
it.
so beautiful.
This is
That's
what it was
great.
all meant for.
More specifically, is there a kind of bird you'd want to turn into? Not an ostrich, probably.
I can't say.
No
First.
flight
Penguin,
involved.
though. Penguin.
Penguin.
No. Big fan of penguins, but
Penguins are great.
along with the flight theme, I'm thinking snow owl.
Oh, great choice.
I'm a big fan of owls. I would say owls are some of my favorite birds.
Owls are excellent flyers.
Absolutely.
Some of the best flyers. So if you're looking for quality of flight.
Some of the best senses. Pop a mouse from a mile away.
Exactly.
There's nothing you can do to stop them.
Yeah.
I've dissected a mouse.
Yeah. Crazy times.
They're critters. They're vermin.
They are.
There was
They
a
are.
rat right outside of my house the other day.
Oh, no. That must have been very frightening.
It was kind of funny because he was kind of like reaching up for the eye. I do think he was dying.
Oh.
But he was praising. He was praising the bee. He was up.
Yeah, okay. Okay. You know what? I hope he's doing well. All right.
Okay.
Well, time for the last question
Yes.
of the Passion Probe, work in progress title.
Probe me.
What is a memory you have of like a time that was like truly happy, that you were like, wow, I look back on this and I feel pure joy?
Ooh, this is the tough one that you told me to ruminate on.
It gets real fast here.
Oh, yeah.
There's no time for shenanigans.
No. Life is real.
It is.
Life's always real. You got to be present in the moment.
Exactly.
Because you'll never know when you run out of time.
Exactly.
Foreshadowing.
Mm.
A time that I was truly happy. I want to be real for a moment.
Yeah.
For just a millisecond.
Yeah.
There was a time I was on a hill outside of high school. There was a hill that was like in front of the school, and I was laying on it with a good friend of mine at the time, talking about, we had just gotten out of religion class because I went to a Catholic high school.
Awesome.
And we were talking about the world religions, how no one really got it right. It's what you believe God to be.
Wow.
And I was describing it. I had this aha moment of like, wait, maybe there is something out there. I don't need to define it. It's everything. It's all of once. God is nor man nor woman. It just is.
Wow.
And they're sitting there and they just say to me like, yeah, I get it. I understand you. As we're looking up at the stars, and that was like the one moment in my life where I felt truly understood. And
to be seen is to be understood.
To be loved is to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
To be known.
Yes. And in that moment, you were truly known. That's so beautiful.
Thank you.
And today's going to be a day all about, it's a conversation of beauty.
It is.
It's a conversation of magic. It's a conversation of capturing imagination in putting it on the screen. Because today, Will, what are we here to talk about?
We're here to talk about a little movie franchise by the name of Spy Kids.
Yeah. Is there a Spy Kids theme song?
Nope.
Awesome.
Something like that. But there actually is a Spy Kids theme. They play it at the start. It's most prominent in Spy Kids 2, the Isle of Lost Dreams. As they are... Oh, I think I remember. It's like... Wow, no, no, no.
Ooh.
Wow, no, no, no.
That's awesome.
It's very epic and grand.
Yeah, but it's like got that espionage
Yeah.
vibe.
It's hiding a secret.
As most spies do. The thrill of the double life. For our audience at home, give us a quick rundown. What is Spy Kids?
Spy Kids is the premiere film from Troublemaker Studios. They'd made films up to this point, but as soon as they established themselves as Troublemaker Studios, Spy Kids was the first IP that they put out. And the initial concept is there is a family of spies, a mother and a father, who are both spies from warring agencies, but they fall in love during one fateful mission. And on their wedding day, they are crashed by all of the enemies that they've made in their lives, and they run away to start a family together outside of the public eye, outside of the eyes of their agency. They retire, and they give birth to their spy kids. But they have to keep it a secret that they're spies until the world is threatened, and they must go back into action. But when the adult spies fail, who is there to rely on but their kids?
The Spy Kids.
The Spy Kids.
The titular
Spy
Kids. I believe that is roughly the plot of the first film.
Yes. Leaving out like the specifics of the villain of the week.
Yeah.
Of sorts. Who in the first film is Mr. Floop, who runs a children's TV show on which the characters are mutations of secret agents. where he kidnaps the agents and he like twists their minds and twists so they can only speak backwards.
That's evil.
It's very evil.
That's very evil. Mr. Floop was portrayed brilliantly by Alan Cumming.
That he was.
In the film.
If there's anything you know about Spy Kids, it is a star-studded cast.
It is insane the amount of people they get for these films. And I also did want to throw out there a spoiler warning for the entire Spy Kids franchise. We will probably get into some of those intense twists and turns.
Yes. If you want to rewatch the series or watch it for the first time, highly encourage. You can get it done in like a day.
Yeah, stop right now. Stop whatever you're doing.
Pause the video.
Pause the show.
Pause the show.
Go do it, and then come back.
All right,
welcome back.
Welcome back.
Yeah. So that first film spawned an empire.
Oh yeah,
a small empire, but an empire nonetheless of Spy Kids films. Where do they take it from there? So they go on the mission. They learn how to be spies. They save their parents.
Yes. Everyone's
happy.
Yeah.
How does conflict ensue for there to be a need for a Spy Kids 2?
Well, if there's anything you know about the world, is that there's always conflict. There's always some sort of danger lurking under. So what happens to the titular Spy Kids, Junie Racer Rebel Cortez, and Carmen Elizabeth? They have really long names. And a really funny bit is that their names are passwords. So like they get to the safe house and it's like, speak your name. Carmen Cortez. That's your full name. I never use my full name. It's too long. But it follows, the first 3 movies follow Junie Cortez and Carmen Cortez, a little brother and an older sister, which speaks very dearly to me because I also have an older sister.
Wow.
And also, we kind of fit the metrics. I am a younger ginger brother who is in his head with his imaginations, and older sister, brunette, about where the similarities end. But in my mind, it's a this was real life.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they successfully capture Floop. Or not even. They let him loose because he's not really doing anything wrong. There's an evil or bad guy, and he gets to continue running his kids' show.
Right.
But after that, they've proven themselves. And as a result, the OSS, the Office of Super Spies, I'm not making that up. You know what? History lesson. The spy organization called OSS, based off of a real-life spy organization called the OSS, which during World War II evolved into the CIA.
Awesome.
So they go back and they take this OSS name since no one's using it.
Right.
And they turn it into the Office of Super Spies.
That's awesome.
But they recognize that there is a desire and a need for these smaller agents that can do what adult agents can't do. Sometimes you need just a smaller body to fit into a smaller mission.
Right.
And so they set up the Spy Kids organization. And they invite kids from across the globe to join it to become an international web of Spy Kids.
Wow.
And that's the start of the second movie.
Wow. I am certain hijinks ensue.
Oh, rest assured.
I'm very certain. And in the third one, Spy Kids 3D.
Yes.
Do they go into the Matrix? Perchance?
As one would say.
Yeah.
How you say VR?
Before VR was big, Spy Kids, you'll notice, is always on the cutting edge of like trends and like media. Like it sort of set the scene for the modern like 21st century.
It truly is.
Know it.
If you look at the VR glasses, you actually see a striking resemblance to the Vive and its precursor technology. But no, a funny thing about 3D is just that it was painfully obvious that it was made for 3D. How many of the Spy Kids films have you been familiarized with yourself?
I am fairly certain I have seen the first few. My most prominent Spy Kids memory is I had a McDonald's toy. And it was like a little like scopy thingy you put up to your eye and you could see and you press the button and it would open up.
I think I may have had that exact same telescope.
It was awesome.
Because this is about the era where I'm frequenting McDonald's after school.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if that was a tie-in to Spy Kids 3D or Spy Kids 4.
It might have just been a spy toy.
It could have
because
been.
it could have just because I know there was a lot of those coming out. Because I mean, what 10-year-old doesn't want a telescope and like a tripwire?
Exactly. Like again, Spy Kids inspired a generation.
Exactly.
So the first film was
I'm a generation.
2001, which
Yes.
was before my time, and then wasn't the second one 2003?
The second one was 2002, and then 3D was 2003. These all came out right before I was born.
Wow. Okay.
And then Shark Boy and Lava Girl is the one, also
That's
by
when-
Troublemaker Studios, also near and dear to my heart, that came out in 2004.
I see. New friend.
Year of
They
our
did.
Lord.
They told the story they wanted to tell in that trilogy,
Mhm.
and then they moved on to different things.
Yes.
I see.
Junie and Carmen had grown up. by
Yeah.
then. But I'm getting ahead of myself. 3D, a funny thing about 3D, I watched it last night to refresh myself and make sure I'm up to date. You can't go 10 minutes in that movie without something flying at the screen.
Like popping out.
Yeah.
Is that the one where Sylvester Stallone's the bad guy?
That is, in fact, the one where Sylvester Stallone is the bad guy.
Again, the cast in these are crazy.
George Clooney
George
is the president.
Clooney. Okay, yeah. I remember reading his name. Like, George Clooney's also in this.
There's a line where he's like, yes, he's the director of OSS, I believe.
Okay.
And then I think the second or third movie, he's like, he gets a call from him, and he's like, wait, you're the president of the United States now? Weren't you already running the government as the director of the spy organization? And he was like, yeah. I figured if I was directing it from the sidelines, I may as well just direct it from the Oval Office.
Awesome.
So I ran for president.
That's awesome. And I would vote for him.
I would vote for him.
Exactly.
He's got a little sensibar above his eyes that he just takes off like sunglasses.
Yeah.
He's real casual with it.
Other notable inclusions. Is it Cheech or Chong who's in it? He's their uncle. One of who they stay with.
The real uncle of Danny Trejo?
Well, Danny Trejo is the
Machete?
which is crazy that
Which
it's
is
the
also
same
crazy.
character. Two wildly different films tonally. I will argue two wildly amazing films. Both worth a watch. Go watch the Machete
I
franchise.
recommend.
Very different, but still worth consuming.
I also love there's a scene where they do roll call and it's like dad, mom, grandma, machete.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah, it's Sylvester Stallone, Danny Trejo. Salma Hayek is in the third one?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Elijah Wood
Elijah Wood.
as the guy.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing.
It truly is a star-studded cast.
This film brings people together.
Oh yeah.
And then that sort of the third film sort of rounds out that original trilogy. Like you said, they moved on to Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Yes.
But then
They hit a couple of other things. They hit, I believe, Sin City becomes out in between
Oh, awesome.
this time frame. Shorts, a very niche film, as I've discovered. It's about like a wishing rock and a bunch of characters in this zany town that get their hands on her and like, I wish for crocodiles that know kung fu. I wish
Awesome.
for a castle with a moat. I wish I could fly. I wish I had telepathy. All this. Also highly recommend. It's crazy only in the way that Troublemaker Studios can define crazy.
yeah.
But 2011, they come out with Spy Kids All the Time in the World.
Ooh.
Spy Kids 4, as I like to dub it, where Junie and Carmen, they've grown up. They're adult spies now.
They're spy adults.
They're spy adults. The Spy Kids organization shut down
What?
due to budget cuts.
What?
They hit budget cuts and they just cut all the kids off. They
That's too
laid them all
real.
off. That's
Too
too
real.
real. Hey, teach them young. It's gotta
Yeah.
happen. Welcome to the real world, kids. But then there's a void. You can't have a Spy Kids movie without Spy Kids.
Yeah.
So they bring in these new kids, Cecil and the girl, who I'm blanking on the name of at this moment. But the Cortez's aunt becomes a stepmom to these kids. And she's a spy, and she's hiding her secret identity from them because they can't know.
Of course.
They can't know the dangerous life that she lives.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, time is moving forward at a much faster rate than expected.
Oh, no.
Armageddon is afoot.
Uh-huh.
It's right on the edge of our clocks. The plot of that movie is pretty much time is speeding up. And all these characters are like, oh, I want to spend more time with my kids. Oh, I want to spend more time with my parents. This is the big spoiler alert because I forgot about this plot line. There's it's about time travel. The fourth movie.
Awesome.
There is a kid from like the 1930s that gets stuck in time. And he has to watch his dad grow old and die in front of him.
Oh no.
Before the government like puts an end to the time stop device. And by that point he's a grown man in a boy's body. And the entire movie is him and all of his clones that went back in time to try and right his wrongs, trying to go back and spend more time with his dad, who he watched die in front of him, which I cannot reiterate enough. This is a sad movie. The Spy Kids really know how to hit you.
They weren't afraid to get real with it.
Oh, no.
It was so real.
It's so real.
That's wild. It harkens on, I would say, the main theme. The main theme. There are no mean themes.
No, but they hit you unapologetically.
There is so much family. The themes of family throughout this movie, these movies. Mm-hmm. Like I said, the first one ends with them reuniting with their parents, and like through doing this spy work, having a deeper understanding of what their parents' lives are like, and also their parents earning more respect for their kids, having watched them learn to do what they do on their own and like save their lives, and now their family is closer. And you see that go throughout that first trilogy, because then at the end of the third, I believe there's this beautiful moment where everyone's like, we're all family and we all forgive each other and let's learn to be together, because there's nothing more important than family.
Yes, in a very revolutionary fashion, because if you're familiar, Infinity War and Endgame come out 2020s. But Spy Kids 3 did it first. They're like, we need to call it, they call it back to the beginning of the movie, we need to call in family. Everyone's your family. So they call in mom, dad, grandma, machete.
Awesome.
And they're not enough. So they got to call in everybody. They got to call in Steve Buscemi. They got to call in the Dinkster. They got to call in the entire cast of characters to help save the world.
Wow. And then you learn through that anything is possible when you work together and you uplift each other and make a beautiful change in the world, which is a phenomenal message.
It truly is. And piggybacking off of family, what I find really compelling about it is the aspect of family that they explore most is that sibling dynamic. Because me personally, I'm not as much of a film and movie guy, but I feel like that's untapped market of like, there's a lot of familiar relationships with siblings. I don't know, you just don't see them every now and then.
Right. It's not as explored a dynamic. And I think it is the most compelling part of these films. It is the center relationship. It's the spy kids.
Exactly.
It's not those spy adults. No, it's the spy kids.
They can't do their job. That's why we got to call in the spy kids.
And I do think that's very compelling. As somebody who has a sibling myself, I think it makes these movies more relatable. It makes them more exciting. And that fantasy is so fun, especially when you're a child. One thing I like about these movies is that there's a lot of thoughtfulness and good work that goes into uplifting children in these movies. Children are the catalyst. They're the problem solvers. They are very capable. And I think that's great for kids to see, because oftentimes when you're a child, you don't feel in control of your own life, because you aren't. Like, so many decisions are made for you. So to see kids be like agents of change. Also in the first movie, there's just a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
Like robot kids.
Exactly.
And it's like, I just think it's really cool and important that they're making films centered around kids, starring kids, showing kids that, hey, it's possible.
I think they strike it best in the fourth one, where there's a scene where all the adults are frozen in time. And Juni Cortez, now like 20, has to call on the new spy kids, because there are times adults tend to overthink things. As we grow up, we get stuck in our ways. We've solved problems one way. That's the only way they'll ever be solved again in the future. But kids don't have that burden. Kids have that imagination. Kids, whatever they believe, they will believe until there is nothing else.
And that beauty, that exploration, I think, is really at the heart of the franchise. It's called Spy Kids, and when we think traditional spy movies, I always think James Bond, Mission Impossible,
Spy Next Door.
Yeah, classic.
My Neighbor's a Spy.
Yeah, there's a lot of spy and neighbor stuff.
I mean, you never know what they get up to. It could be anybody.
Exactly. Your neighbors are crazy.
Go check up on them.
Yeah, you should. But Spy Kids has a large fantastical element to them. Maybe not as much as Shark Boy and Lava Girl or like other movies. Like Spy Kids is a little more based in technology and a little more based in like we are spies and we're going to use gadgets.
Yeah.
But
still, there's like a magnetic spaceship in the second movie, which I'll touch on this, but I think the second one is the best one, just like structurally speaking. All of them have a place in my heart, but I do think the second one, although I did just watch the fourth one, that is also pretty strong. But my heart belongs to the second. In that one, there's just like a flying saucer. Then their bad guys have magnets on their heads, and whenever they need to make a quick escape, they turn on the flying saucer, and they all like fly up to the bottom of this UFO, and they fly off to the Isle of Lost Dreams.
Wow, that's beautiful. Like you can't make this up.
Oh,
no. Like it's so uniquely fun.
It's the brand that you can only get through Troublemaker Studios. Truly. They have some weirdos on the writing team, and I love it. I'm so here for it.
My king, Robert Rodriguez.
Yes.
My hero.
Yes.
A visionary, truly. He's one of the few film people who I'm like, I can really tell when I see your vision on screen.
Yeah,
he gets it. He gets it. And this, we've talked at length at how good this series is, how these films are masterpieces. Yes. The work they do with appealing to young audiences. What you spoke on it a little bit before. What was the appeal of these films for you as an individual, and do you have any insight as to why they stuck with you for this long?
I think, truth be told, I saw myself in these characters.
In the small ginger boy.
In that small ginger boy, Junie Cortez, I saw small ginger boy, William George Lemaster. And I'm half joking because when I'm rewatching these movies, I'm like, oh my God, this explains so much. This explains so much about why I am the way that I am. Because Junie is characterized by his imagination. And when I was younger, I was very much so a kid that lived in his own head. Of, like, at dinner conversations, my sister and my parents would be talking, and I'd just be kind of like eating my dinner, and I'd be thinking like, man, ninja pirate or cowboy? Oh, that's a thinker. Or I would retreat into my own world in a way. And that's very much so at the cornerstone of Junie's character, of how he figures how to utilize that as a spy, and how he uses it to problem solve. He uses it as a basis to solve the Mr. Floop case. He watches that show religiously. That is the only thing that he will watch. So he knows Mr. Floop inside and out. And so when he confronts him, when they're locked in the same chamber together, he's not like, Mr. Floop, you've committed sins. You must repent. He's like, Mr. Floop, I trusted you. I poured my heart into your work. What are you doing? And Mr. Floop's like, what am I doing? Wow. Why am I here? You're right, little boy. Let me ask you a question. Something's wrong with my show. Something's missing. What is it? You're the expert. Tell me what I can do. And Junie's like, it's missing kids, man. You gotta have a good kids show. You gotta be able to relate to them. You gotta be able to pull them in. And you can't pull them in if it's just like mutated, I'm blanking on the show, Yo Gabba Gabba characters. Except terrifying. I cannot stress enough how terrifying these creatures are in the first movie.
The first movie also has the thumb people.
The first movie does also have the thumb people.
Which is also crazy and awesome.
Yeah.
If you want a good time, just look up the thumb people from Spy Kids. Because they're just human beings who are thumbs.
Yeah, and all of their appendages are thumbs.
Yeah.
All of them. And they are the henchmen of Mr. Floop. And they dress up in like all black when they're breaking into the Cortez household. And the kids are like, whoa, what are those things?
It's awesome.
It's a bit of dramatic irony.
It is. To tie it all back, it kind of relates to what we said about earlier, of there being no greater joy than the joy of being known. Or the joy of being seen.
I couldn't agree more.
And I think that's why Spy Kids has such a lasting appeal, is because kids can see themselves in there. In that conversation specifically that Junie has with Mr. Floop, it's all about literally that he's saying the thesis of the film to the character. Like, you need kids in your kids' media in order for it to make sense.
It's the very reason they send the robotic kids to go catch the spy kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's because they're tracking. They already tried the adult spies. They couldn't catch them.
Mm-hmm.
So what better way to nab a kid than to send a kid?
Right.
In the same way, what
work.
better way to relate to a kid and the thumb people?
Yeah.
That didn't work.
That didn't work.
I can't see myself in the thumb people as much. Maybe I gotta grow
It's
a
less
little older.
relatable. Yeah. Maybe I need more thumbs.
Maybe I only got my 2.
Yeah. They got 5.
Yeah, about.
Yeah. But yeah, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
In one word.
It's physical representation, but also in the writing, it's just so whimsical in the way that only a child's mind can be.
Mm-hmm.
For example, the second movie, there is an island in the Bermuda Triangle. Doesn't show up on any maps because a scientist lives there that created things so monstrous that he doesn't want the world to see it, and no one should.
For reference, the scientist is Steve Buscemi.
For reference, the scientist is Steve Buscemi. The very same Steve Buscemi who, in this movie, drops the most banger line in all of cinema. Do you think God, too, hides in heaven because he is afraid of what he has created on Earth?
Awesome.
Direct quote.
Awesome.
Direct quote.
Awesome.
Because he was working on a miniature zoo, and he made these like animal combinations, like a spider monkey, which is a gorilla with the bottom of a spider, harkening back to your "Would you rather."
Yeah,
that's what I was imagining because I had spider monkey on the brain. Or the slizzard, which is a lizard with a snake's neck.
Oh.
Or a horsefly. Or a catfish, or a bullfrog.
So he's getting real literal with that.
Oh yeah,
awesome.
And they grow to like the size that they would actually be. So the spider monkey's like 10 feet tall.
Awesome.
And that's the only thing. You can only get that if you talk to a kid. Of like, hey, what's your favorite animal? And they're like, I would probably have to say. Have you ever seen like a bull? Have you ever seen a frog? Imagine it had the frog legs and the bull horn and like the tail's a snake, actually. And it can fly. And it shoots lasers.
The perfect animal.
Yeah.
We did talk about how these movies, they deeply affected you as a child, and they stick with you today.
Yes.
Throughout the past week, you've spent time rewatching them.
Yes.
As an adult now, what lessons stick out to you and what still holds true about this franchise? What did you rediscover in that process?
I did a lot of rediscovering about myself. I'm rewatching these and I'm like, as I said, this explains a lot about how I am now. It brings to mind a lot of things, like the themes that it touch on, family, most importantly. That's a theme that doesn't really go away. It's still something that you struggle with. Even if you go off to college, you're like, do I keep a relationship with my family? Do I call them on the weekends? Do I go visit? And they really touch on that in the fourth movie of like, I wish I had the time to do it. And there's a scene where the dad, who's chronically writing his screenplay, is like, once I make it big, I'll go and spend that time with my family. I'll go make it up. And his coworker is like, you got to spend that time now. Because if you don't, the only thing you'll have time for is regret.
Ooh, bars. Bars.
Again, only bars from the series.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the thing of like, it's a very fantastical premise, and it's very whimsical elements, but they still just speak true because you're talking about time. You're talking about family. Those are things that don't go away. They just change as you get older.
Right.
And I think that a lesson that you can learn from watching the Spy Kids movies is that rediscovery of going back. If you've lost that childlike whimsy, if you've lost that imagination, know that you can still get it back.
It's still there.
It's still there.
On Netflix?
HBO Max.
Oh, wonderful.
Or any other websites that I will not disclose on live TV.
Or you can buy it.
Or you can buy it on...
Buy it to own.
I was told it was on... It's definitely on Prime. It's definitely on YouTube. I was told it was on Hulu, but that was a big fat lie, I think.
Maybe. You can find anything anywhere nowadays if you're willing to pay enough.
That is also true.
That's a life lesson. You could probably get it on DVD for a pretty good deal. Maybe Blu-ray. I don't know if they did Blu-rays for those.
It is also a... Actually, they did double features. They would package 2 and 3 together, and then eventually 1, 2, and 3 together.
Wow. That's a good deal.
Oh, yeah. Another lesson to learn from it is just the old adage of beating a dead horse, because in 2023, this is the movie I didn't get to. There is Spy Kids Armageddon, which at this point, I haven't watched the movie, could absolutely be full of that same childlike wonder. But I feel like by 4, you're losing more of the wonder, you're leaning into more of the technology, and at this point, we're like 2 degrees of separation from Junie and Carmen Cortez. So
yeah,
no more nostalgia.
You're
kind of
interesting because it's a legacy sequel for Spy Kids, which is it came out 22 years after the original, which I mean, yeah, it's a decent amount of time. I will note it is the only, like, Robert Rodriguez wrote all the other movies himself.
Yes.
This one he does have a writing partner on. He
This
still
is true.
directed it, so I mean, there's got to be some of those elements there, but it's a completely new family. And it's, from what I gathered, video game inspired.
I believe so. Of like, they unwittingly know or unwittingly work with the villain, and they release a virus into the entire internet, and it threatens to like send them into the Dark Ages or something.
Yeah, and then like the video game comes into their world, and then they have to go into the video game world.
Which also, just from watching that, they're already like rehashing Spy Kids 3D Game Over. And when you're rewriting. When you're taking inspiration from yourself, that's when you're kind of hitting the bottom of the monkey's barrel.
For the record, neither of us have seen this film, so we can't make any
true.
rash judgments.
This
It
is true.
does seem like it has the Spy
Everyone
Kids
deserves
elements.
a second chance.
Yeah, I did see We Can Be Heroes, the sort of
This
like
is
Shark
true.
Boy and Lava Girl.
This is
legacy
also
sequel,
true.
and I had fun.
Yeah,
I had fun.
there's some kooky, zany characters in there.
Yeah,
some
yeah.
kooky powers.
I
do remember the clip of like the jetpack guy, and his battery runs so low, so quick.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's about all I got, though.
Classic movies. I mean, they're all really solid.
They
like,
are.
barring Spy Kids Armageddon. But so we start off 2001, 2, 3. Get that
Yes.
original trilogy, 8 years.
Yes,
Spy Kids 4.
2011.
Yes. And then now, 12 years later, in 2023, we get Spy Kids Armageddon.
Yes.
What happened? What were the Spy Kids all that time?
Well, from my own inferences, we have, at the end of Spy Kids 4, Spy Kids Agency is reinstated. And there is a sequence of them going through, they just like hack into all the cameras all over the world and looking at kids. Kind of freaky, if you ask me. Maybe a little better that they're kids themselves, but they're just like looking, they're scanning for the kids that would make good Spy Kids, and they're like, "You've been activated. You have been activated." To kind of speak to the kids at home of like,
right.
I've been activated. I got to go out there and save the world.
In a very similar way that I was waiting every single day to get my letter from Hogwarts.
Exactly.
Kids were waiting to get activated by the
Exactly.
OSS.
Exactly.
Spy Kid Division.
Yes. In terms, this is about the time where I kind of started to grow out of the franchise. I go off to middle school. I'll go off to high
You had
school.
to go
I
off to
get
middle
all-
school.
Things
Things change.
Things change. I grow cynical.
Yeah.
I grow a beard, and it's just all downhill from there.
I get really jaded at middle school.
But they always had a good place in my heart. I swear, I want to watch Spy Kids Armageddon now, and I swear if they start off with Spy Kids got shut down again, I'm gonna throw a brick at someone's TV.
We'll see. I'm now much more intrigued by this film after this conversation.
Me as well.
Maybe worth a watch. Go check
Maybe.
out.
You tell us in the comments below.
You tell us. I hope earlier when you watched the entire franchise, you did
Yes.
watch Spy Kids Armageddon.
Yes.
And if not,
Please
now's your time.
enlighten us. Yep.
Go watch it.
Okay.
All right.
Good? Bad? Yay, nay? Tell us afterwards.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah.
Is there any Spy Kid gadget that you were like, oh, I would need this?
Ooh.
You could pick.
I do. There is a little like robotic bug named Ralph. He makes his debut in the second movie, and they bring him back in the fourth as like a piece of decommissioned technology. But he's like this little June bug that crawls all over the walls, and he's used to. There's the Yukata assignment to go to the Isle of Lost Dreams that is assigned to 2 other Spy Kids that are like rivals of sorts. And Junie uses Ralph to kind of sneak in, get their mission briefing, and then Carmen hacks into the database and puts them on that assignment and sends the other kids to the Gobi Desert.
Awesome.
And I think I loved that robot so much that I made a redesign of it for one of my classes.
Oh.
Because we had the assignment to like, it was business day, and we were going to have a business fair, and we had to design a product to sell to the teachers.
Awesome.
And I came up with this little robot idea. I built it out of Legos, and I attached a string to it. And the idea was, you ever lose something? You ever lose your phone? You ever like drop a $20 bill between the cushions, and you don't know where to find it? This little buddy does. Just plug in the general description of what you're looking for, and this little guy will crawl all over your house looking for that thing, every corner and crevice, so that you don't have to.
I'd buy that.
I'd buy that.
That's awesome.
I don't think my teacher bought it, though.
Oh.
Because this was the teacher that confiscated my bookmark.
Oh, no.
So
Sounds like a tough
she was a bit jaded.
That's
at
when
that
you
point in
started to
school.
see the harsh reality of the world we live in. You're like, this isn't like Spy Kids
I started
at
to
all.
lose faith. Maybe I'll never be activated.
Yeah. Okay. I have a question for you.
I have an answer.
You have a top secret mission
Okay.
that needs to get done.
Okay.
The best agents in the world are at your disposal.
Uh-huh.
You need to take down this evil organization that's been running all the world governments from the shadows.
All of them.
All of them.
Holy.
The stakes have never been bigger.
Oh, my.
And also in a week, the world's going to explode if you don't stop them.
Oh, classic.
Setting the stakes.
Oh, we have plenty of time.
Uh-huh. So who are you? You could take James Bond, 007, extraordinaire spy, the Queen's finest. You can take Ethan Hunt. He's done so many impossible missions. I'm starting to think maybe every mission's possible, but he always comes out on top. Or are you taking two kids, two spy kids? Who do you think could get the task done?
I'm going to be real.
Uh-huh.
I think the Spy Kids could do it. Because they have proven their mettle time and time again, same amount of times, if not more, than those other agents. They have faced... What was it? The first movie was like the world was going to be taken over if they did not capture Minion and stop the army of 500 robotic like laser kids. Stop that. World-ending pressure, number one. Number two, movie two, they were after the Transmooker device, which would have shut off all technology on the world, and pretty much world would have blown up pretty much. Number two. Number three, VR would have taken all of the kids who played its attention away from their parents, and their parents never would have gotten that attention back. And I would say that's number three. Because Toymaker also, he came to real life, as per Spy Kids 5 Armageddon. It's on thin ice before I even watch it. And then, well, actually, follow-up question. Are we talking kids at their kids or kids after they've had that experience of grown up into full-fledged agents?
I'm talking Spy Kids as kids.
Spy Kids
so
as
let's
kids.
say end of Spy Kids 2. That's sort of like the place we're looking. They are in their kid form.
Yeah.
They are experienced agents at this point.
Yes.
They've saved their parents. They've saved the world.
Yes.
So, but they are still children.
Yes. I think that's their greatest strength. You're never going to expect a kid to be an agent. Like, when you see a kid walking down the street, it's like, no, they're not a secret agent. They've never killed a man.
Right.
They've never drawn blood.
But the Spy Kids have killed.
The Spy Kids have killed.
Do they kill people in those
Spy
movies?
Kids 4, there's like a giant cog and a giant clock, and there's a kid that like knocks it over with his super strength gloves, and it crushes like 10 goons.
Oh, no.
And they don't cut back to those goons.
No. Hey, they were bad people.
They were bad people.
They're going to do terrible things.
The ends justify the means.
Exactly. So now I know the Spy Kids have the killer instincts necessary.
Oh, yeah.
Well, here's the thing. You are getting a value deal. You get 2 Spy Kids.
Yep. 2 for the price of 1.
James Bond's just a guy.
Yep.
He's just one guy. And, like, I think Ethan Hunt's just good for, like, jumping off of stuff.
Hey, who can relate?
Yeah. Which is really cool and relatable. But, like, these kids have access to bottomless amounts of insane gadgets and crazy
electric bubblegum.
Yeah.
Give that 1 or 2 chews, any devices you got, boom, offline.
Wow.
They got the prank kit, which is a bag of just like prank materials, like tripwires and sticky bombs and whips
for classic pranks that cause extreme property damage. Okay, I think that's a very respectable answer.
They
I think
also
you've
got
justified
tech on
it.
the other guys.
That's
Because they
true.
got, there's a girl that like has pigtails and they spin as propellers and she can fly. We're talking rocket boots. We're talking grappling hooks. I think the only thing they're missing is a gun, but I don't think they'd be far from finding one.
I think with the technology they have, they could make one if they think it's
Yes.
necessary for the mission.
Yes.
I think that's the only thing the other two have on them is they use guns. But some of these sound far more lethal and far more scary
I would have to agree.
than your average firearm. Well, Will,
Yes.
coming all the way back around, we're nearly at the finish line of our own trilogy in our time here on this show. So, do you have any closing remarks? Any thoughts, feelings, opinions on Spy Kids? What would you like to leave our audience with?
I would like to tell you folks at home that even though we grow up, even though time may feel like it's escaping us, the most important tool that you have to combat it is to never lose that childlike whimsy within inside of you. Because when the going gets tough, when times get rough, you always have yourself to rely on. Also call your parents.
Yeah. Family.
Family.
It's all about family.
It's all about family.
Sorry, Fast and Furious. Spy Kids did it first. And, dare I say, did it better.
You know what?
I'm not going to open that can of worms right
I
now.
am.
We have there's a reason you're here talking about Spy Kids.
Yeah, I think I speak for myself when I say I am biased.
I think Fast and Furious 11 though may change your opinion. We'll see. We'll see when that comes out.
We'll see.
We'll pit Fast and Furious 11 against Spy Kids Armageddon. We'll do a full in-depth breakdown. Stay tuned for that. Well, Will, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's been a pleasant time. I feel like I've grown so much closer to you in perhaps the way of family.
I feel, Peyton Basden, I feel known. I feel seen. I feel loved.
And that's all we can truly ever ask for. Thank you all so much for listening today. We'll be back soon with more beautiful content. And thank you again, Will, for being here.
Thank you.
All right. Stay passionate, y'all, and have a fantastic day.
You're listening to Radio DePaul. Best station in the nation, 2024.